We have to look at how the war is impacting the global world. This is not a war between the West and the rest, not even the West against Russia, but the whole world is going to be affected, is affected. I'm coming from Latin America, I will go to Africa next week, and I can tell you that there are different views, and we have to pay attention to the Russian narrative, how to counter this narrative, how do we engage with everybody in the world in order to explain what's going on in Ukraine and how to face their consequences.
So, from what you're saying, there are large parts of the world, including China and India, who need to be persuaded, actually, that Russia needs to be stopped.
Well, to persuade China, it's a difficult task. China has a strong stance. They will be shoulder to shoulder with Russia. We know that, they told us. So I don't think that there is a lot to do. But there are many other countries in the world with different sizes. Look, yesterday the president of Argentina, for example, was saying something about the war, who is guilty. Lula, the candidate, the former president of Brazil, also. A lot of countries in Africa and Latin America who look at this war with different eyes than ours.
So the West needs more allies internationally?
The West needs to pay more attention to the rest of the world.
And what are the consequences of the West not listening to the rest of the world?
Well, they will listen to another music. The messages being sent by Moscow and being echoed by Peking, because the Chinese media reproduce systematically the Russian message. It's based on the old feeling of anti-Americanism or anti-colonialism, no? The old reflexes of in Latin America and in Africa, and other countries will tell you, like Serbia, that Belgrade was also bombed, that without a United Nations mandate, that Iraq was invaded, and the story that you Western people also did things like this, to size, to measures. It's something that has to be countered, especially the economic consequences of the war. Russia tries to present the consequences of the sanctions. No, there is no wheat in the world because of the sanctions. You have high electricity prices or energy prices because of the sanctions. No, they're not the sanctions. It's the war itself.
Is Europe itself prepared to pay that price? There are some countries, Hungary notably, and others, who appear at the moment not willing to back Ursula von der Leyen, to back yourself, to back the sixth sanctions package. Are you still fighting a very tough battle within Europe itself?
Well, we are 27 member states in different situations. Objectively, Hungary is in a completely different situation than Spain or Portugal. They don't have a sea access, they have a single refinery, they get oil from Russia, fitted to this refinery, or the refinery to this oil. They have to adapt. There are objective reasons that have to be taken into consideration.
But have you made, has Ursula von der Leyen made, any progress in persuading Viktor Orban that actually sooner rather than later is necessary to wean itself off Russian oil?
Yes, I am sure that Hungary is completely on board of the idea that as a whole, Europe has to get rid of the energy dependency from Russia. On what, everybody agrees. On how, it depends. I've been talking with the Foreign Affairs Minister of Hungary. The ministers and ambassadors will continue working. We have a Foreign Affairs Council on Monday. If there is not an agreement before Monday, the ministers will have to discuss about it.
And how close to an agreement is the EU with Hungary?
It's not only Hungary.
Slovakia, Czech Republic.
The countries who are landlocked and cannot look for an alternative as quick as others. They are not the bad guys of the film. It's because they have objective difficulties. And if we want to have everybody on board, we have to take into account and look for solutions. And solutions means periods of time needed, amount of resources needed, At the end, I'm sure we will have an agreement. But it's not so easy. So one thing is to announce and another thing is to build a consensus.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.